Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on this gorgeous tie for Father's Day. I know it's Father's Day this weekend for Melbourne, Australia. I'm not sure if it is in your country either, but at least you'll have a gorgeous tie to give to Dad or to any male member of your family, also to any female member of your family, because it's gender friendly. And actually, as you can see, I've added a bit of colour in there to make it look a little bit exciting. Now, okay, if you are new to crochet, this is going to be a little bit tricky for you. Take a risk. I always say try something new. Why not? It's not going to hurt. But there you go. Now, this is made, we're using a 4-ply yarn, which is a number 2 or a lightweight thread. It's actually a cotton, and I'll show you the label so you know. Let's get a nice close-up for you. Let's get this out the way. Now, this is our cotton here in Australia, Bendigo Woolen Mills to be exact. It is a 4-ply. This one's called Peppermint, and it calls for a 3mm hook. Now, I used a 3.5 to do the tie, and I used the 3mm hook just to make the little loop at the back, which is, where is it? That one there. All right, that little loop that you pop your tie in, okay? So that was that. But I did use a 3.5mm hook. I probably would have benefited to use a 3mm, but it just took so long. It was so tight. Like, the work is fairly tight anyway, so I think a 3.5 is perfect. If you want to use a 3, it's going to change your measurement yet again, so just be wary of that, okay? Now, I used the peppermint, I used a light teal, and I used Glacier. Very pretty colour, this one, very similar to a light grey, and I use a very bold pink, if you will. Now, guess what, guys? I did not choose these colours for this tie. No, my subscribers, you guys out there, you chose the colours and you did a great job. Now, for those of you joining us new on the channel, our subscribers have a very big input on the colour combinations you see on the channel. Not always. There are times that I do choose the colours myself, but most of the times these days I've been getting the subscribers to choose the colours, and they've been doing a fantastic job. Now, we do that in what I like to call a yarn dance, and a yarn dance is performed on our lives Wednesdays at 4 p.m, Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time, and we do what we call a yarn dance. And it's not really a dance, it's just me getting up and picking the yarn that you guys choose for the tutorials. That's it. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say about the colour combination. You will need a sewing darning needle. Sorry guys, you're going to have a gazillion ends here. My apologies there. But you know, beauty is pain, yeah? You will need scissors. You will need, I'm so naughty, 2 stitch markers, and you will need your 2 hooks, a 3.5mm and a 3mm. However, halfway through the tutorial, I kind of mentioned that I was doing a quarter scale for you in super thick yarn, like that. So it's literally a quarter scale, look at that, but in really thick yarn, just so that you can see the stitches, because I found that using the green was, you were unable to actually see the stitches. But look at that. How gorgeous is that tie? Ta-da! Okay, now I found 3 ties at home here. I found 3 ties and I worked off their measurements, but all the time we are working on this tiny little piece you see right here. I'm giving you instructions on how to make yours bigger, okay? And that's it, guys. I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started making your gorgeous Father's Day tie. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, now if you are following us along, you need to cast on your main colour, colour number 1. So cast on whatever colour that may be, and mine was the green. I'm just going to mess around with another colour just for the tutorial, okay? So I'm going to start off with a quick slip knot, wrapping our tail end around our finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it up there. Make sure you've got yourself a nice long tail that you can weave in later, okay? Grab your back loop, passing it halfway over. Let me drop that hook. Grab the other loop, passing it all the way over, and now grab the hook and pop it in that little loop and give everything a tug. And what you should have is that. All right, so that's that. Now the first few rows are a little tricky because if you are using the thin yarn, it's really going to try your patience, all right? So first thing you need to do is yarn over your hook and pull a loop through. That's chain 1. Yarn over, chain 2. All right, now we're going to work on the first chain that you did. You're going to pop your hook in that first chain right there, just one loop. Pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, that's a single crochet. You're going to do another one in the same stitch. Into the loop, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Chain 1. Turn your little piece over because you're going to work on these stitches again, but you're working the other way. So you pop your hook in the same stitch that you are in, and that's those 2 loops on top. We just give your work a little bit of a tug. Right there you can see the gap. All right, so pop your hook in that space, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Hold it there. Now for this one, we're going to pop a stitch marker in like so. Yes, there. Okay. And in the same stitch, you are putting another single crochet. So another one in there, like so. Now in that stitch right there, and if you give yourself a bit of a push on the hook, you can get your 2 loops on top, and it's a fairly tight stitch because that's the first one we did, and your space on the bottom. So you're just doing a normal single crochet in that space. 1, and then you're doing a second one in the same space. Like so, chain 1. I'm just going to pull up that loop for a minute to show you. In every row, you are going to be putting 2 single crochets in that first stitch and 2 single crochets in your last stitch and then chaining 1. That's the same in every row. And of course, in between, you've got a single crochet in every other stitch, right? The reason I'm bringing this up is because if you are using the thin yarn like I am right here, it's going to be very difficult to find those stitches at the end of each row. So really, I would suggest to use a stitch marker. Not necessary if you don't like using them, but I'll show you later what happens when you don't use them. All right, but in the meantime, let's get on with this, okay? Oh, that's too far out now. All right, so from here, we are going to turn our work. Remember, we've already chained 1, yeah? So we're going to turn our work, and in that very first stitch you come to, it's not the chain that we've just made, but the stitch right next to it there. All right, can you see that? That's the little chain there, and that's your stitch. You are going to do a single crochet. 1. And then you're going to pop your second stitch marker right in those 2 top loops there. Yes? Like that. In the same stitch, you're going to do a second single crochet. Okay, now in the next 2 stitches, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in your first, and these are those little V's that you see right there. See those little V looking things? And what you do if you can't find the stitch, give your work a bit of a stretch and you'll find it. Okay, single crochet in your first, single in that second one, which is right there. And then you've got your stitch marker stitch. Now you can find your stitch because you've got a stitch marker there, yeah? 1 single crochet in there. Just take out that stitch marker for a minute. And in the same stitch, you're putting a second single crochet. All right, now before we do our chain 1 and turn, just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chain 1, turn your work. And there's your very first stitch again, right there. 1 single crochet in there, pop your stitch marker in, like so. And then a second one in the same stitch, like that, yes? And then 1 into your next, that's your 3rd stitch of the row, 1, 2, 3, 4th, 5th, oops, 6th, and 2 more in your last one, which will make it 8. All right, so you're gaining 2 stitches by the end of every row. 1 and 2. Oops, take that stitch marker out. But it does help you find the stitch. Now what I'm going to do, this next row I'm going to do with you, but I'm not going to put the stitch marker in. And so you can see what I mean, okay? Chain 1, turn your work. There's your first stitch right there. 1. Now I'm going to leave the stitch marker out, and I'll show you what I mean. You pop your stitch marker right now, but I'll leave mine out. 2. And then you've got your 3rd stitch in the next, 4th in the next, 5th in the next, 6th in the next, 7th, 8th, and then you're going to have to put 2 in there, which makes it 9 and 10. So this might be a little tight for me, this stitch, but I'm going to try it. There we go, 1. Take that stitch marker out and pop the second one in, which is there. Okay, chain 1, turn your work, single crochet into your first. I will pop that stitch marker in this one. I just want to show you at the end of this row what happens when you forget that stitch marker, or when you don't put it in. Now the stitch marker, if you are an avid crocheter or more professional crocheter, you don't really need a stitch marker. But I find when doing single crochets, and I'm splitting this yarn, aren't I? When doing single crochets with really thin cotton, it is a very good idea to have the stitch markers, all right? So we're going to put our second single crochet in there. Then we've got our 3rd in the first one, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, whoops, don't lose that one like I just did, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. All right, that is actually the stitch down there. If I put another one in there, assuming it's the last stitch, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm short one, what have I done? It's very easy to miss that last stitch. You know it's there because I'm showing you, but it's very easy to miss it, which is why I suggest stitch markers for this particular piece. I highly recommend it. Put it that way. 10th, I'm sorry, 11th and 12th. Let's count that to make sure I didn't make a mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I want you to keep increasing until you get to 20 stitches across, which is another 4 rows. So continue doing this round over and over again for 4 more rows, and I'll meet you back here at the end of that 4th row. You should have 20 single crochets, okay? I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, what you should have now is that you should have 20 single crochets across this whole row. Now go ahead and count your 20 and get ready for pattern change, okay? Now pattern change, you're still doing your single crochets, but you're no longer increasing from the beginning or the end of the row, because you're going to start off by doing this now. From here, this is what you've just done, from there to there. Now we're going to start straightening our edges, all right? Straightening, very simple. You're going to love this. Turn your work like normal. Single crochet, don't forget you had to have your chain there, yeah? Single crochet in your first stitch, like so, and pop your stitch marker right in there, like so. And don't put another single crochet in there. No, we're working along these 20 stitches, which means we're just jumping straight into our very next stitch with another one. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and you have one more left. You're just going to put your 20th stitch in there. And that's it. Take your stitch marker out for starters there. Don't leave it in. And that's it. That is all you are doing for the next so many rows. And I'll talk about that in a minute, but let's try this row one more time, okay? And this is going to be a repeat row, so this is all you need to do. Chain 1, turn your work. Single crochet in your first stitch, like so. Pop your stitch marker in that stitch. Single in your next, and your next, and your next. Keep doing those singles all the way across your row. It is an easy pattern. The only thing is, because you're using thin yarn, if you are using thin yarn, because you're using thin yarn, your tie is going to take a while to do. Just this part here. Once we get to the thinner section, you're going to fly through it, trust me. But for now, we've got 20 stitches we're working on. So that's, you know, tight stitches with very thin cotton. It does tend to get a bit sore on your hands, so take your time. Don't be in a hurry. And there's your second last stitch. And there is your last stitch right there in that stitch marker. Take out your stitch marker. Don't forget to chain 1. Now, you don't need to do this. I'm just going to pop my stitch marker in that loop while I talk to you. That is just a little tip that I do occasionally like to let people know. It saves you from losing your stitch. If someone goes and pulls your work, your little one comes along, the cat plays with it, whatever, you won't lose that stitch. All right, now count your stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, so you should still have 20 stitches there. Now, let's talk about how many rows we're going to do working on just these 20 stitches. The original pattern says to do 25 rows like that, but we've already done 2 rows. So you need to do another 23 more rows of just going up and down, up and down, up and down. You don't have to add any more, you just have to go up and down, and it'll give you a nice straight edge there, okay? So just continue exactly like that for 23 more rows, and if it helps, this is what you should do. So you finish row 1, put a line there. Finish row 2, finish row 3, finish row 4, and finish row 5. You know you've done 5 rows. And then continue along in that manner. You've done 10 rows. And you've done 15, 20, and then you need to go finish 1, 2, and 3. So you need to do 23 more rows exactly like that. Continue along that manner all the way until you get to your 23rd row. At the end of your 23rd row, I shall meet you back here for pattern change yet again. Alrighty guys, so what you should actually have is, let me just deduct a little bit here like that. You should have that many rows, okay? You should have the first 2 rows that we did, which is down here somewhere. Then you should have another 23 more rows. So altogether you should have 25 rows along here, keeping your nice straight edge. This is what you should have, a nice long piece, all right? Don't worry too much about measurements because most ties are very similar. And if you are using the similar sort of cotton, which is a number 4 ply or a number 2 or a lightweight cotton, you will have a similar look. All right. So from here, when I said pattern change before, what I meant was we're going to have some decreased rows plus changing colours, which is going to be great. So this next row will be a decrease row. When we're decreasing on a tie and we're only decreasing 1 stitch, we're not going to decrease on the ends because it will make your tie a little bit uneven. So we're going to decrease from the middle. Now remember, we have 20 stitches across. So what we're going to do is get to stitch number 10 and decrease between stitch 10 and 11. Don't worry about that. We'll talk about that as we go along. All right. So right near, see, I don't use my stitch markers off air, don't I? I'm very naughty. Shh, they didn't see that. All right, so right here, you've chained your one, you turn your work like normal and do 10 single do 9 single crochets across. So 1 stitch marker. Oh, she's so naughty, very naughty. All right, so 1, yes, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All right, now 10 and 11, we're going to do single crochet 2 together. Now there's a lot of ways people are doing. They're doing the back loops, they're doing the front loops. I'm just going to do a normal single crochet 2 together. So I'm going to pop my hook through both the loops, pull a loop through, just giving everything a gentle tug. You've got 2 loops on your hook, straight into the next stitch. Pull a loop through, nice gentle tug, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So when you're looking at it, you really only have the 1 V. That's 1 stitch now, even though it's in 2 of them, okay? So you single crochet right in that very next stitch. You're here, so you get a single crochet in the stitch next to it, all the way across. And when we get to the end, we will count them. And if you are taking that 1 deduction, you should only have 19 single crochets at the end of the row. We'll count those in a moment. We're almost there anyway. This is where it starts getting quicker because there's fewer stitches, yeah? Into the last stitch, chain 1, remove your stitch marker. All right, so let's count it. These are the 2 that you've put together, and you can see how it's tightened up a little there, yeah? So you go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So you should now have 19 stitches, and you can tell the tiny little groove there where you have reduced a stitch. So you're reducing there, then you've chained your 1. Yes, you're going to turn your work, single in your first stitch, add your stitch marker. And just do a normal row of single crochets all the way across. Don't worry about reducing or anything. Just single crochets in every stitch across. And of course, when you get to the end of this row, you should have 19 stitches again. Off you go. I'm going to pop this on fast for you. Okay. Here we are, second last stitch, and we're about to do the last stitch, but I don't want you to do that last stitch yet. The reason I've asked you to stop and not do that last stitch is because, guess what? We're going to change colours in the next round. Yay! And we're going to change to whatever colour you want to change to first. Now, if you want to know what I did, I changed to the blue, the light blue colour, which you saw in the promo. So I'm just going to call this colour number 2. Okay, so pop on colour number 2. Take your stitch marker out because you're going to put your hook in that stitch. I want you to see the colour change, all right? So let's bring that up a little. All right, so popping your hook in place where your stitch marker was, pull your loop through like normal. You've got your 2 loops. Normally you yarn over and pull it through. No, drop that tail. Grab your new colour. Pop it over your hook like so. Just give that a bit of a tug, the last one, and just pull the loop through. So just going to hold the blue and your new colour tail. Let me bring that out so you can see what I did there. Holding the blue and your new tail colour at the back, but your second colour that you're working with, you're chaining 1. Just give it a tug, turn your work like normal, single crochet in your first stitch like normal and popping a stitch marker in there. Now don't stress too much about these tails. We will work on those at the end of the tie. I was going to say scarf. We will work on those at the end of the tie, all right? Okay, so now we are single crocheting in your second one. Hold it there. Now remember when we said we had 19 across? We're going to do another deduction. Now you can do it anywhere you like, preferably in the middle of your work. Now half of 18 is 9, so around the 9th and the 10th stitch, roughly. Okay, so we've done 2 stitches there, yes? So we go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now in your 9th and the 10th, you're going to single crochet them together. So hook in, pull a loop through, there, hook into your next, pull a loop through, and you should have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, single into your next stitch, and all the way across the row. All right, so, oops, hello. So it's pretty basic with reducing stitches in the middle of your work. Now it's roughly in the middle, okay? Give or take 1 or 2 stitches, it's okay, all right? Now single crochet in that last stitch, chain 1, take your stitch marker out. Okay, so we have reduced 1 more stitch, meaning what? If we had 19 before, we should have 18. Now count your stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 stitches. All right, super duper easy. Turning your work like normal. Single crochet in your first stitch. Now this is a normal row. So all you're doing is popping single crochets across the row. And it looks like I've split the yarn there, which I'll fix at the end of the row. That's okay. So single in your first, let's bring this up. It's far too far. That's better. Single in your next and your next. I'm going to pop this on fast for you all the way across the row. And second last stitch right there. And the last stitch in where the stitch marker is. Okay. Okay, let me take that out, like so. Chaining 1. All right. So what you should have again is 18 stitches across. Remember that, yeah? So now we're going to turn our work, single crochet into your first, grabbing your stitch marker again, and hold it there for 1 minute. Now, remember we had 18 across this way. We want to reduce this one last time for a little while, okay? So let's go to half of 18 is what, 9? So let's go to our 9th stitch. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and on your 9th and your 10th, or you could have done the 8th and your 9th, it doesn't matter. You're doing 2 together. 1 and 2, like so, together. Okay? Single in your next, and all the way across your row. You should have 17 stitches at the end of this row. Make sure you count them, okay? Which we're going to do. I know it sounds silly, but you want to work on a certain amount of stitches all the way across. If you mess them up, your tie could look crooked, okay? So let's take out that stitch marker, like so. I haven't chained 1 yet, but we'll count your work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Single crochets all the way across. That's your 3rd row of your 2nd colour. Chain 1. We're going to do a fourth and final row of the second colour, and it's also the final row for decrease for a little while. Single crochet into your first stitch like so. Pop in your stitch marker. Yes, and single crochet all the way across the row. I'm going to pop this on fast for you, but don't do your last stitch. All right, I'm up to my second last stitch. I'm going to do that second last stitch. All right, there's our last stitch. We're going to change the colour, but I'm going to take this out because I know I've split the yarn there. Look at that. So I'm going to take mine out. You can keep yours in until you're ready. Okay, so we're going to pop our hook into that stitch like so. Pull a loop through like normal, but don't finish your work. Grab your next colour, and mine is going to be the lilac. Okay, so let's do this. Bring that up a little bit, show you what I'm doing. Okay, actually, you know what? I'll bring it out because you saw it before, but this way you can see the longer version. Grabbing your tail and just popping it over your hook. Pulling it through your loops. Now you're grabbing the tail end of your pink, lilac, dearie me, tail end of your cream or bone or whatever colour that is. Chain one, turn your work, single in your first, like so. Grabbing your stitch marker, which I just split. Oh. And do your single crochet across your row. And once again, I'm going to pop this on fast for you. All right, second last stitch right there, your last stitch right there, and that is your first row of lilac. Done. Chain one, turn your work. All right, so what I want you to do, now this is the easy bit, you're going to like this bit. You're going to work on 4 rows lilac, 4 rows pink, but you've already done 1 row of lilac, so you need to do another 3, okay? So let me show you the combination that I want you to do. Let me get a close-up for you. I did 4 rows of the blue. I'll be doing 4 rows of the grey. This is where we're up to at the moment, all right? That's exactly where we're up to. And then I'll be doing 4 rows of my pink, okay? So whatever colours you chose, 4 blue, 4 grey, 4 pink is what I have chosen, okay? And I will meet you back here once you have completed those. Altogether, it should be 7 rows, okay? 3 rows this colour and 4 rows of your final colour, okay? These are the 4 colours that we are working with. Green, the blue, the grey, and the pink, all right? They're the 4 colours that I'm working with. Once you get these 4 colours down packed, I'll tell you what you're going to do next, all right? In the meantime, do your 3 rows of this colour, your final colour that you did here, and in 4 rows of your new colour, and I'll meet you back here once they are done. Alrighty guys, what you should have is that look, or if you're looking at the original, you should have, say, colour 1, colour 2, colour 3, and colour 4. All your colours should all be on your tie right now, yes? Now what we're going to do is 2 rows of your main colour. All right, so you're going back to your main colour, but silly me, I don't know if you were doing the same thing, I wasn't cutting my yarn. Cut your yarn, because every time I turned, it would get knotted. All right, so make sure you you cut your yarn. All right, so we're dropping this colour, and we are going to go right back to the main colour, and I almost picked up my main tie colour. Okay, pulling our loop through like we do at the end of every colour change row. All right, so now you are chaining your 1, turning your work, and this row is going to be a reduction row, okay? So single crochet in that first stitch right there, grabbing your stitch marker, like so. And we had 17 stitches across, so just go to the nearest stitch. I'm assuming 8 would be the nearest one. Yep. So we're going, this is the second stitch, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and 8. But before you finish your 8, you are jumping straight into your 9th, pulling a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. You should know how to do all these join togethers now. They're easy. And the rest is your single crocheting all the way across the row. Now, we had 17 before. We've reduced 1. We should have 16 at the end of this row. You're going to find these rows a lot easier and quicker now because there's, less stitches, and I split that yarn there as you do, as I do in almost every row. And a single crochet in your last, chain 1, count your stitches. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. All right, so what you're going to do with this row here, turn your work, single in your first, grabbing that stitch marker again, try not to split it like I've been doing, and I've split it again. It's not the right stitch marker. I should have used the larger ones for this. I might change over to that after the next break. And just single crocheting all the way across your row, no stopping, no reducing, nothing. I'm just going to pop this on fast for you until we get to the end of the row. Alrighty, almost there, guys. I have a second last stitch and a last. With the second last stitch, we're going to do like normal. I've split the yarn again, by the way. I'm doing well. In our last stitch, we have to change colours, okay? And we are going right back to colour number 4, which is your pink. And this is the part you're going to do now, okay? This is the easy part, okay? So you're going to change back to colour number 4. Alrighty, it's grabbing that pink. Oops, I haven't even started the stitch yet. Hello, Mary. Okay, start your stitch. Yeah, wake up any minute now. You got your 2 loops on your hook. Drop your colour. Add your new colour, which in my case is the pink. Pull the loop through. Pink in both colours. In both pieces, I should say. Chaining your 1. Single crochet. I know we have a few ends to weave in. Sorry, guys. Single crochet in your first stitch. Oh, that's what it's all about. If you want colour, you want it to look nice, you've got to pay the price. All right, single crochet in your next, and your next, and your next. And I'm not going to go on because I think we can tell you exactly what you need to do. The rest is super duper easy. Well, not the rest, just this part. All right, now for this part, having a look at the colour combination that I have here, let's turn it around that way, which is probably not the right way to look at it. Actually, I'll show you how you can tell the difference between the right way and the wrong way in a minute. But what I would like for you to do, right now we are up to there. That's where we're up to, okay? So let's get a nice close-up. What I would like for you to do now is to do 4 rows of your 4th colour, 4 of your 3rd, 4 of your 2nd. Don't do these 2 green rows because there is a deduction there. So just do those 3 sets over and over and over again on the same amount of stitches until you get to the end of that colour there, which all you're doing is duplicating that, right? But when you get to the end of your 2nd colour, don't do your main colour. Just get to the end of your 2nd colour and I'll show you what to do next. Now, to show you what the right side and the wrong side is, you can see it just staring at it there. See that there? See how you've got that? These are your join 2 together stitches, right? That is the wrong side of your work. Turn it around, have a gorgeous look at the right side. You can't tell where those joining 2 togethers are. You can see a tiny little look, but you can't see the colour change. But on the wrong side, you can. So that is the wrong side of your work, where you see a colour change, all right? But you don't have to worry about that now because you're not up to that section. What you are up to doing is just repeating that over there, okay? So you're doing your 4 rows of this colour, 4 rows of this, 4 rows of this, and then meet me back here once you have done all 12 rows. Okay, meet me back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, where you should be is right here. Don't look at my ends because this is actually, it's just like a quarter scale of what you're making. So all your ends should actually be on one side, okay, like the original. See the original there? That's how it should be. It's just, I just forgot to mention that earlier. I did put it in the promo so that you knew what I was doing. Everything is a quarter scaled down. Okay, so don't look really at the ends, okay? Don't think you're doing it wrong, you're not. All right, where you should be is right there. That's exactly where you should be, not the green, right there. All right, so you just duplicated that there. It's exactly what we've done here. I know it looks differently, it's just the color combination, that's all. All right, so now from here, we are going to start on the green again. The first row we do will be a reduction, and then the second row will be normal. So let's go back to your main color, which in this piece here is the blue. First, start your stitch, grab your new color. Alexa, you know how to do this part. You've been doing it all along, so you know what you're doing. Chain one, turn your work. Single crochet in your first stitch, grabbing your stitch marker. I don't know why mine ended up all the way over there. It's on the other side of the table. I must have flicked it. Can't take me anywhere. Oh gosh. So, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's the 8th. So you go 8 and 9 together like that. And single crochet across your row. All right? Super duper easy. And the next part is even easier. And I've split the stitch. Of course I have. Oh. There we go. Chain 1, turn your work. Watch how easy this part is. Single crochet in your first stitch. Grab that stitch marker and try not to split it, Mary. Oh gosh, you have one job. Okay, 1 in every stitch all the way across the row. I'm going to pop this on nice and quick for you. Okay, so there's our second last stitch. Split again. And there's our last stitch right there. All right, terrific. Now, that is enough reducing for now. What I would like for you to do now is do 10 rows of just this colour, do another 10 rows there, and meet me back here once you have done 10 rows, okay? So 10 rows of your main colour, and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, where you should be right now, let's move that one for a minute, is right there. That is what you should have. How cute is that so far, yeah? Gorgeous. Now what you're going to do is, let's grab our little quarter scale back again. Don't forget to make sure you count your stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We're on 15 stitches, okay? Turning your work. We're going to do a reduction in this row. So we will reduce between 7 and 8 stitch, I think. So single in your first. Pop your stitch marker right there. Single in your next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now 7 and 8, we're going to do our 2 together, which is 1 in there, hold it, 1 in your next, hold it, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and single across your row. Now you should have 14 single crochets at the end of this row. Okay. In your last, like that, count your stitches. I'm not going to, because I want you to get started with your next section. chain 1, turn your work. You are going to do one more row in this colour. Single in your first, pop your stitch marker there, like so, and single all the way across the row and get ready for colour change. And what are we colour changing to? We're colour changing to colour number 2. You're currently using colour number 1. Colour number 2 was your blue in this piece, or whatever colour that is. It's like a beige or a cream or whatever. Oh, guess what? It's still attached. Hello. I'm working on 2 pieces at the same time. That's why, guys. Oh, that'll teach me. All right, so grab this loop, pulling it through like so. And you are going to chain 1, turn your work, and single crochet in your first stitch, making sure you take out that stitch marker from the previous round, which some silly person didn't do. Let's not mention her name. Well, let's not mention it live anyway. Oh, we're not live. I'm so naughty. Single crochet all the way across your row. Stop right here because I'm going to give you some instructions. All right. Now, with this particular section, I don't want you to do 4 rows of one colour. I just want you to do 2 rows, okay? So 2 rows of your first colour, 2 of your second, 2 of your third, and then meet me back here and I'll explain what we're going to do next, all right? So just do 2, 4, 6 rows, 2 of each colour, and I'll meet you back here when we're ready to change to the green, okay? Go ahead and do your 6 rows without any reductions, and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, this is where you should be. You should have done your 2 rows of each colour. We're now going to move on to the next section, alright? Now, whoops, this is too close, far too close. Alright, so there is our last pink. We're going to drop the pink and go straight on to our very next colour, which is the, in this case, blue. All right, but in the real piece, you are popping on your green right there. That's the part where we're up to right now. All right, so pop on your colours that you used, your main colour, if that helps. And chaining 1 like normal, turning your work, single crochet into your first stitch. All right. Now, from memory, we had 14 single crochets. All right. Now, we are going to do a deduction here. All right. So, roughly around the 7th stitch, the 6th stitch, I think. So, you've done 1. I don't have a stitch marker on any of these stitches. Am I doing well or what? Oh, what do you do? All right. Single in your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and when you get to your 6th or your 7th, you're doing the next 2 together. And it doesn't matter, either one, okay? And then you keep going single crochet across, okay? Easy one, this one. Yep. It's going to get easier again. It just keeps getting easier now. Okay, single crochet in your last stitch, keeping the same yarn, chain 1, turn your work. Now, you're going to work along these stitches over and over again for 3 more rows. And I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, where you should be is right at the end of this green. That little orange thing under there is a stitch marker. Don't worry about that. It's nothing to do with us for now. That we need at the end of our tutorial. But for now, you should be at the end of this green, or in this case, blue row. Now what we're going to do is duplicate the colours, all right? So see how we went pink, grey, and the blue, we're going the opposite way. So now we're going pink, grey, blue, upwards. All right, but there will be a decrease in here somewhere. All right, so let's get on with it. All right, so, and don't worry about these threads, guys. We will work on those later. So the last stitch you're doing as normal, holding it there, grabbing your very last colour that you did, the pink, and we're going to pop the pink back on, like so. Oh, of course, holding on to everything. Chain 1, turning your work. Nothing's different here. Do your single crochet 1. Now from memory, we have 13 single crochets across. We've done 1 already. So now we're going to do another decrease. So half of 12 is 6. So between 6 and 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrease 2 together like that. And that's your 6th, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Chain 1. Whoops, don't lose it like I did. And I forgot to put a stitch marker in there, guys. Shh, don't tell them, just put it in. They won't even know. You like that? That's what I do when I'm off air. All right, so there you go. We have our 12 stitches across. You're going to add 1 more row of pink without any decreasing. Then do 2 rows of each of your next 2 colours. So you've got your pink and then your lilac and then your whatever colour that is. So do 2 rows of each colour, okay? Then meet me back here and get ready for change of pattern completely, okay? Go ahead and do 2 rows of each colour, these colours here. Meet me back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, we're at the end of our last colour, which was the, I don't even know what colour this looks like, a bone anyway, it doesn't matter. You're going to attach your blue now, or in our case, the green. Okay, chain 1, turn your work. Now we've got 12 stitches, so we need to decrease in the middle there, so we'll decrease between 5 and 6, yeah? So single in your first 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6 will do together. 1 and 2. You're going to love this part, guys. And then you're going to do the rest of them all the way across. So at the end of this row, you should end up with 11 stitches, we hope, if we did our math correctly. Okay, and there's your stitch marker stitch. I know it looks like I've only done 1 row with these, because I have. Remember, this is just a quarter scale, guys. Okay, there we go. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stitches. Chain 1, chain 1. And this is where your pattern is going to change, but you need to do a little bit of math, okay? All right, now I'm just going to grab a book to help you out here. All right, so let's say we've done our first row of increase. I'm sorry, let's try decrease, Mary. Decrease row. Okay, we're just going to call it D. Yeah, that's a really bad D, but there you go. And that's row 1. Yes, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when you're doing your rows, I'll do mine up here somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So your first row will have the D. Yes, you'll take first row off. We've just done that row. Now I want you to do 9 rows of just plain single crochet. No decreasing, nothing. Then you do your next set. By the end of this row here, you have 11. So this is set 11 stitches. All right, I hope that helps. Oh, sorry. By the end of this set here that we're going to do now, you'll have 11 stitches, yes? Then you're going to do it again with your D up the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you're finished this row, you'll have 10 stitches. Oh, I'm not even in frame. Sorry guys, let's try that again. You've got your decrease on your first stitch And then the next 9 stitches, you'll do just normal single crochet rows. So by the end of this set, you'll have your 10 stitches, right? Then you're going to do it again, yes? And by the end of that, you'll have 9. Then you'll do it again. By the end of that, you'll have 8. You'll do it again, 7. Then you'll do it again, 6. When you get to your 6 stitches, you're going to work on those 6 stitches until your work measures 127 centimeters or 50 inches. So that's actually 60 rows, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You have 60 rows to do. And on every 10th row, you are decreasing 1, if that helps. I hope that's a lot better of an explanation. And then when you get to this row here, you're doing single crochets, until you get to that measurement there. Bad arrow again. I told you I'm bad at sketching. It's not my thing. But there you go. So that's what you need to do for the rest of this tutorial until you get to that measurement. Once you get to that measurement, we're going to change things yet again. All right, so go ahead and do 60 rows, and at every 10th row, you are reducing or decreasing a stitch. So you should end up with 6 stitches. Then work on single crocheting all those 6 stitches until you get to that measurement. And let me show you the tie so you know where it is. This is where you are up to at the moment. All right, you are right there with 1 row of, let's do that, with 1 row of your green. Then you're going to do your 60 rows. Let's just say 60 roughly around here, I'm guessing, just there. Making sure you reduce at the end of every 10th row. And when you get to your 6 stitches, you're going to work on those 6 stitches all the way until you get to your 127 centimeters or roughly 50 inches. I've actually taken 3 different tie measurements and they all pretty much end up the same, give or take a couple of millimeters, tiny little millimeters. So this is roughly the size of a tie. So do all those rows. Meet me back here when you get to, it's not there, I'm sorry, it's way over here, your 127 centimeters or 50 inches, and we'll talk about pattern change. Alrighty guys, I roughly did about, between 140 and 150. I can't even remember now because I just literally took the measuring tape out and stopped when I reached my measurement. But it was roughly around 140 to 150 rows. So give or take a few rows, yeah? All right, this is the best part, guys. You're going to be working from there to there, and it's very, very basic. Trust me, this part is very easy. It's the last few rows, or last 2 or 3 rows that get a bit tricky, but the rest is easy, okay? So you've done your 1.5 million rows here, yep. Now what you're going to do is increase 1. That's it. Turn your work, single crochet, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah? In that 3rd space, you're going to add 1 more. 1. That's it. Single crochet across until you get to your last stitch, which doesn't matter. You're doing everything the same there. Chain 1. Get ready to turn your work. All right? This part is so simple. Now what you're going to do is do normal single crochet rows over and over and over again until. So you're doing a single crochet, too far. You're going to do your single crochet rows over and over again on the same 7 stitches. So you should have 7 now because we increased by 1. Do that over and over again until you get to roughly around get in frame, 145 centimeters or 57 inches. Okay, give or take a few millimeters, whatever. It doesn't have to be exact. All right, so just do these rows over again, single crochets until you get to that. Now, just a quick tip. I'll let you know how many rows I did, roughly around 30 rows, okay? And that's a rough measurement. But when you do your 30 rows, measure it up. Now have a look. If you're a little bit under, that's okay, because you can always add a bit. If you're a little bit over, take a little bit off, because the last 2 or 3 rows are very minor. They'll give you an extra centimetre or so you're going to need a little tiny bit. But just get to that measurement there, 145 centimetres or 57 inches, and meet me back here and let's finalise this tie. Alrighty guys, now that we're all done with all those rows, your work should measure 145 centimetres in length or 57 inches in length, and you should have 7 stitches. Alright, so you put that out the way for a minute. You should have 7 across this way. We are now going to complete our tie. Oh, get excited. I know, right? Okay, so now what you're going to do, turn your work like normal. We're going to make this part of our tie, which is right there, that little point that you see there, okay? So here, the first 2 double crochets, we're going to crochet them together, okay? So you know how to do that. You put 1 in 1, hold it there, go into your next, pull it through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and then you do 1 single crochet in your next, 1 in your next, and 1 in your next, so 3 single crochets across. The last 2 single crochets, you're going to do those together. I haven't put stitch markers in, so sorry about that, guys. But anyway, 1 and 2 together. You should have your 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3. Chain 1, turn your work. You're going to do exactly the same. Again, single crochet 2 together, 1 and 2. Like that. And this time you're only putting 1 single crochet in your next stitch, like so. And then in your last 2 you're doing single crochet together. Simple, yeah? Chain 1, turn your work again, and now you should have 3 single crochets left. Now you're going to single crochet all 3 of those together. Okay, bit tricky, same as the 2 together, but a few more stitches. So pop your hook in, pull a loop through the first one. Pop your hook in your second one, pull a loop through the second one. Pop your hook in the third stitch, pull a loop through. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on your hook. Chain 1, pull that loop up, grabbing your scissors, giving your work a cut and pat yourself on the back. Alrighty guys, so that is your tie complete. However, there's 2 things we need to do to finish off our tie. One is we need to weave in all of those ends, which I'll show you how to do in a moment. But firstly, ta-da, we do have this little thing at the back. I've put that there on the second set of colours, right in the middle of the green. There's your first set, your main set of your colours. On your second set, on the green or the main colour, this is where I want you to do this bit. At the back of every tie is a little loop so that you can pop, once your tie is made up, you can pop your the base of your tie in there like so. All right, and that's what we're going to do now. It's very basic. All you need to do is grab your piece, put it over there, and your yarn. All right, now what you do need to do, however, now I used a 3.5mm, as you know, for my normal tie. I've dropped down to a 3mm for this part, all right? But for this tie here, you know, the big one, I just use large hook size. So I have dropped down a hook size. So we're going to start by casting on again, like we did with our tie, with a loop, and chaining 10. So yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's have a look at the tie. Go to the second set of your work and making sure that it is, get rid of all these, a lot of ends, making sure that it is roughly the same size, give or take 1 or 2 on the edge, because we want to have it smaller so that it's not overlapping on your work, right? It has to be a little bit smaller than the tie. All right, so I think 10 is fine. And then all you're doing is working on 9 single crochets. So you single crochet in that very first stitch right there. Let's get a nice close up. There we go. 1, 2. Just going to move this out the way so you can see. That's better. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Whoops. Chain 1, turn your work. And now what I want you to do is 3 more rows. So 1 row single crochet, 2 and 3, and then meet me back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, there's all my rows. I've got 4 rows. 1 tail should be on one side, and the last loop, make sure you chain your 1, pull your loop up, give yourself a nice long tail, cut your work, pull it through. This is a very quick and easy part, this part. Just grab one of your tails. This actually better to grab the base, the bottom row first. We're going to work on the bottom part of our work. It's not the right needle for this, but doesn't matter. Now grabbing your tie. That's the wrong way, that's the right way there. Oh, it doesn't matter. That is the right side of our work. And I'll show you the wrong side again. I did show you earlier in the piece, but the wrong side is the part where you can actually see these little lumps right here. And they're very noticeable. Okay, let me try the other side. You can't see any differences between your work here. But on the wrong side, you can see these ones here were the decrease rounds, and you can see them. All right, so where I want you to place your little piece, all right, with your little needle, is pretty much in the center of your second set. So there's your first set of colors, there's your second set of colors, and that is where you are placing your piece. All right, yours will look like this. It will look like that. See how it all matches up? It's the right size. Okay, so there we are, and that all matches up right there. And you're going to attach it there like this. All right, so this is the base part of your work. Doesn't matter, really, it doesn't, because it's at the back. Just making sure that you are centered like that. Okay, you got 1 little stitch there and 1 little stitch there, or 2 or whatever, but it's kind of centered, yeah? And then all you're doing, you're already attached to your piece. Just literally don't put it through your work. You're actually just going through some stitches there. Making sure you can't see the needle from the front, okay? Now these stitches are going through probably the second one, you know, roughly. And pull that loop through a little bit, like that. Not all the way, because you're going to go back into your piece. A little bit further up, like say there. And in any split any stitch you want, and put your needle back in there. And what it does is it just attaches it to your work. Then you're going back through it again, like that, and back into another few stitches here, like so. Oops. And what it does is it closes up your work. Yours will look better because yours will have the 4 rows of your single crochet. Like I said earlier, I was just doing a quarter scale. So now you go back into your piece. Just keep going along until your piece is attached. Now, if you're really worried and think that's a bit flimsy, go back. Go back and do it again. Now, if you really, really want to get in there, put your needle through the stitch like that. Don't undo the needle. And just go in and out along the edges on the side that way, and then pull your needle through. I've lost my thread, so I'm not going to bother rethreading it. And then you're going to do the same on the other side with that piece right there, going up and down. And that way later you can pop your tie through like normal once it's all done up. Whoops, once it's all done up, like so. All right, too close. It'll go like that. And it'll probably go further down. But this is just a quarter scale tile, so that's not a very good tie to work with. Here we go, and then we'll just pop that little blacky part, I don't know what you want to call it, but there you go. All right, so that's that, and you cannot see the little flap from the front at all, which is good. Now, before we go, just quickly, I'm going to show you how to weave in 1 or 2 ends, okay? I'm not going to finish that off. Just pretend I did. All right, so this is still the wrong side. You can tell by the little, let's get a close up. You can tell by the little marks here. You can tell that it's the wrong side. See that? That's our decreases. So what you do is you grab any end you like. Let's grab a color you're going to see. Let's try the blue. You thread your needle. Now these ends, they're going to be tricky to weave in. All right, so let's get a nice close up. They're going to be a little tricky. What you need to do is make sure that you don't see them from the front, but you've got to really get in and weave. So here's a few ends. This one's going to have to go this way, right? Because that's the wrong side. So I would just literally split 1 stitch, making sure you can't see the needle right there. Okay, you can't. Split 1 stitch and just pull it through. This is not the right material for this. And just keep splitting stitches at the back of the blue like that. Turn it over. Can you see the needle? No. So off you go, pulling it through that way. All right, and best to go further in. I'm not going to bother because this is just a quarter scale, but let's just say I've gone, you know, a few more stitches down. Then I want to take a few more stitches and go back the other way, still in the same direction but different stitches. Okay, so just pull that through like so. You can do it 3 times if you like. I'm going to leave it there. I usually do it 3 times, which would mean turning around and then coming back the other way again. All right, but I'm not going to do that for you because this, like I said, it's quarter scale. I'm going to let you head off on your own and do it. And that's that, guys. That's your tie is now done. Yay! Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you guys, well, pretty much already do for me. To all our fathers out there, happy Father's Day and ciao for now.